Welcome back to GSC for another DOT engine update. Still looks like an engine, so I'll flip it around and show you what we're working on. So here's that 235 I'm working on for DOT. Here's the bracket I have not had a chance to punch and modify and figure out what my belt geometry is going to be, but I do have a brand new oil filter and canister hung here on the manifold where it's supposed to go. Went up and saw the boys at Napa this morning. Got our 1/8 inch MPT fitting, T, and line components here. So I got to bend one that's got to come up. So this is a return. It's going to come up here, kind of go to the bottom, and then pump from here back. Actually, this is pressure side, this return. So nice little closed loop system. So I'm going to grab some lines and see what I got to do to get these routed in the proper way to avoid the exhaust. Obviously, I don't want anything to be in harm's way here in the pivot here for the throttle. So I'm going to grab some line, set it on here, mock it up, and see where I get. Well, after a little bit of trial and error, canister's on, it's actually full of oil, the engine's full. I had to flip this fitting 90 degrees here because it was kind of in the way. So I turned him, routed this line up for our pressure side. Here's our return going back to the block. And this 54 Chevy 235 now has a remote oil system. So glad that the remote filter worked. It fits like it should. And now I'll be able to start buttoning things up, get the tune-up off DOT, put on here, make the adjustments necessary to this bracket. I'll grab my throttle pieces off DOT because the pivot is in pretty good shape here, but the actual crow's foot that goes on here is stuck on the other pivot I have. So instead of chasing my tail and beating my head against the wall, I'm gonna go ahead and just use this with the known working good one that's on DOT. So, but yeah, it's coming along. So now I'm just down to one stud for the exhaust manifold here. Get the carburetor off DOT. Since she still runs, I figured I'd drive her up on the trailer to bring her down here, and then we'll get ready for an engine swap. So here's the latest and greatest on the 235, and now I'm going to go grab my Carhartts and go down and get Dad's big yellow Suburban running. So this might be a compilation of 54 Chevy truck and Suburban things today. There is something going potato behind me. It's Dad's Suburban. Flip the camera on, talk about it. Where my 54 obsession started was Dad with his, well, it was Grandma's truck when he was a kid. So I have a whole fleet of them now. But this is Dad's yellow Suburban that we've been working on the new chassis in my garage for. And needless to say, we've encountered a lot of challenges with that. So we're gonna put brakes on it and make it go down the road as the stock chassis with the 6-cylinder and 3-speed, so he can at least Sunday drive it. So there's our other GSC 54 for the day. Just gonna spin it around and park it right here next to my Lincoln. And then we can figure out a brake job. Say this is a pretty good way to start the weekend. It's been a pretty eventful afternoon here. Got Dad's Suburban running with the original engine, chassis, etc. He's been tearing down his 305 that is a water spewing geyser in my garage. So got a 350 over here that we're going to be working on putting in here. But the improvement overall today on the 235 is pretty good. We got the thermostat on, the housing rather. I cut gaskets here. As you can see down inside, I've got a nice new thermostat in it, 180 degree. Modified these brackets to hold the original 12-volt generator. Modified the bottom bracket here, slotted the holes, and made everything fit nice and tight. I've got to build a bushing yet for back here. But other than that, our belt system is complete. I've got the water pump retorqued. Everything's good here. Generator fits. The oil filter canister is on. I talked about this earlier. Made my nice lines here, down to the block, and off down to the pressure side. Oil pressure gauge will go here. So she's pretty much, as far as I'm going to get her on a stand, at this point I need to bust out ye old mighty cherry picker, pick this up, get a bow housing on it, get it set to TDC, because there are no marks on the balancers on these. It's all based off flywheel. Get it set, get the dizzy dropped, and that way it points to 1. I need the fuel pump off dot yet. I've got a full tune-up that's brand new on dot I'll put on here. Her carburetor is going to get used, and then we'll pretty much be ready to run. So, pretty productive day, on and off, inside and outside of the garage. And hopefully there'll be more excitement to come tomorrow. But yeah, the 235 is now put together enough that we can pretty much put her in the truck. She's full of oil. Got 6.5 quarts in it. I filled the oil filter canister, new filters in here and everything. So it's ready to rip. But tomorrow is Monroe swap meet. Dad and I are going to go and look for a couple of piece parts, maybe some wheels and tires. And maybe, just maybe, make some brake lines and do a brake job on the Suburban. But that's the 54 235 update for the day. And along with some other shenanigans. Hope everybody's having a pretty good weekend.